Welcome back. The crisis rocking the All Progressives Congress APC took a new twist on Monday as the Governor of Niger State, Sani Bello, took over as the caretaker chairman of the party. A development INEC and the Governor of Yobe State, Mai Mala Buni, has faulted. Today we will be discussing the changes and crisis rocking the APC and how it affects the party and governance in general. And having this conversation with me, we have Dr. Usman Emmanuel Bassi. Welcome back to the Weekend Show.
Thank you, and good morning, Nigerians.
And we also have Jide Ojo. Welcome back, sir.
My pleasure.
I'll start with you, Jide.
Yeah.
Give us an overview of what's going on.
Politics. Simply politics. What's going on is high-wire politics, which is expected in a situation like this where you are preparing for general elections. It's not unusual to have intrigues playing out. And again, I think how the ruling APC will maneuver itself out of this mess, I really don't know. I have no clue, because there are too many interested parties. I read yesterday there are 208 litigations at different levels, states, federal. There are litigations challenging the legality of CECPC. Quite a number of them that has not been discharged. There was an injunction since November last year. Now, how many weeks to their convention? Meanwhile, they were supposed to have this convention in December. They shifted it to February 5, from February 5 to February 26, from February 26 to March 26. Now, March 26 doesn't seem sacrosanct, because given what INEC is saying yesterday in that correspondence, they are saying, okay, for this emergency meeting you want to have on the 17th, you have not made the the legally required 21 days notice to us. And then INEC is taking the position that the letter was not properly signed. Meanwhile, the legality of CECPC is even being challenged. Now, INEC having recognized that, which we are told is not even in the rule books of APC, there is a school of thought that says, yes, there could be a contraption like CECPC, but it's meant for 6 months as a stopgap measure. 6 months has turned to almost 18 months. No,
2 years.
18 months, almost 2 years.
2 years.
June 25.
Yeah.
That was when Mai Mala Buni and his co-travelers were sworn in. June 25, 2020. Now this is March 12. And they are still in power. This is an executive governor. This is an executive governor who ordinarily should be preoccupied with peace and security of his home state, but enjoying the paraphernalia of being the chairman. They kept shifting the goalpost. They embarked on registration and revalidation of membership, poaching of governors to join APC. Now they have come with another contraption. As at the time APC released the timetable and schedule of activities leading to the convention, they only published dates for ward, local government, and state congresses. Now, they just suddenly realized they should have a zonal structure. That zonal structure, whether it's in the constitution or not, I do not know. But now, that in itself is shaky. And the reason why I really I posted on my Facebook wall yesterday, I said, I hope this is not the beginning of the end of APC. Because there is a school of thought that says there may not be APC after President Muhammadu Buhari. And it's like walking towards that. Because as you can see, the train has left the station. By next month, party primaries are supposed to start between April and June. So if they have not resolved the issue of their convention, as to who actually the legitimacy of whoever will sign the nomination form. If at the end of the day, the court now rules that Mai Mala Buni is not known to the rule books of APC, and that whatever it does is null and void and ultra-vires, that means that they will lose out completely. It's not like what happened in Zamfara will now be like a a curtain raiser, where after they won election, the Supreme Court said you didn't conduct a valid nomination exercise. So I thought, like Judge Santayana said, the only thing people learn from history is that they don't learn anything. If they had learned their lesson, there is no way they should have allowed the issue of postponing the convention till an election year as we currently undergo. Because now too many interests have come into play. Those who want to contest in 2023, now they have to emerge 180 days to the election. Which then means that the stake is so high now. Everybody wants their own person to be the one in charge of the primary. Let me give you an instance. A Tinubu will want somebody who will be loyal to him to emerge the national chairman and secretary. Those are the two key positions. Knowing full well that they are the one that will sign the nomination form. So if he loses out and somebody neutral or somebody who is against his kind of presidential ambition takes charge as the executive of the party at the national level, it then means he has almost lost the bid. So if they had conducted their convention by December of last year, as they initially postulated, it will have helped them. So by now, the reconciliation effort is what they will just be trying to do ahead of the time they will conduct the primaries. But now, they have neither achieved reconciliation, they have also now got enmeshed in litigations. 208, how do you deal with that? And the law is very clear. If you are not the legally recognized executive, whatever you do can be negated by the court. So where do you start? Where do you start? So in summary, it looks like, you know, there is a saying in my part of the world that whoever brings an ant-infested tree from the forest should endeavor to entertain lizards. That is exactly what is happening. So feasting, everybody, in fact, Oshiomhole will be laughing himself to school. Because if they have not orchestrated this ouster, the time they did, if they have allowed him to serve out his tenure and allow him to conduct a better, a well-coordinated and rancor-free convention and not circuit his tenure, they will not have brought all of this contraction upon themselves.
Dr. Bassi, so in a bid to save face, the APC through its spokesperson at the moment, Ismail Ahmed, said this yesterday that there's no problem within the party and this is normal. Also stating, and this is a U-turn, that Mai Mala Buni would be unavailable at the time for the convention, and so he transmitted powers to the Niger State governor, and so it is legal. However, I remember on Monday, different camps within the APC took credit for bringing in the Niger State governor. Another faction also gave credit to the president. Jide just said, could this be the end of APC? What's your take on all of this?
Well, let me just speak from what Jide said. What is history? When you define history as study of the past to understand the present, then you predict the future. What's currently playing out in the APC as a party is a product of history. When how APC was formed was as a result, it was a kind of a particular interest to be achieved, not an individual interest. But all they were after is, let's ensure that we vote out PDP. And different people with different background, with different interests, come together and harmonize that particular interest. But there's a father figure which that interest is being formed. Who is that person? It's President Muhammadu Buhari. In fact, I was even shocked. A serving governor is saying, whatsoever that Muhammadu Buhari told us to tell us to do, that's what we follow. Now, suspending even the constitution of the party means the constitution of the party is not what would be the one to guide the behavior or the works of individuals and how the party should be run, but maybe an individual. So as he said, honestly, what's currently playing out is so unfortunate. But let me tell you this. You can also leave what is happening in APC outside what is happening in Nigeria. APC is the ruling party in Nigeria. Where we have crisis in this our nation, issues of governance, leadership, unemployment, a lot of different problems. Why? Because even the party that produced the leadership that is leading the nation is not organized. They can't conduct an election. The Mai Mala Buni, the committee were meant to stay for 6 months.
Yeah, that's what.
And now almost 2 years. They can't conduct a simple election. What happens? That's the crisis you're seeing. And then as he pointed out also, 2023 is around the corner. They formed APC that brought in Buhari, and Buhari became the figure. Now everybody wants to replace Buhari, or everybody wants to be the one to be reckoned with. So camps are splitting. I mean, everybody wants to form their own camp to ensure that at least they are not left behind. And that is why the crisis started right from the Congress. Why? Because the people that have the delegates are the people that possibly might have the upper hand when the primary election takes place. That is why the crisis from down up. How could a party have 200 and something litigation? And you can't sit back, resolve the issues internally. And that also takes us to issue of internal democracy, internal party democracy. There's no internal party democracy. And that translates to the larger society. I'm not only talking to even the APC, but at least APC one is very visible, and APC one is affecting virtually everyone. And to be candid, I'm watching, as former president said, they laugh. I'm watching to see how it turns out. But truly, it will be very difficult, because even if they conduct the election, see what INEC was saying. Even the authorities that sent letter to them, they said they are alien to them. They don't know them. They are now saying issue of 22, to 21 days notice, even though they tried to say, we have already notified you prior to now. But prior to, we just want how it will turn out. But really, for them to survive.
Interesting. We do have a bit of breaking news. Earlier on the social media segment, we spoke about the plight of Nigerian students in Ukraine. And just as at the moment, we do have a report that 400 evacuees are set to leave Budapest, Hungary for Abuja. So about 400 Nigerians who fled the war in Ukraine to Hungary are now at the international airport in Budapest, Hungary for evacuation to Nigeria this morning. And the evacuees who have been accommodated for days at the Meningat Hotel in Budapest by the Nigerian embassy in Hungary fled to Hungary from different parts of Ukraine. Most of the students that appeared in the viral video sent by trapped Nigerians calling for evacuation from Sumy, Ukraine are amongst those leaving for Abuja on the charter flight this morning. We do have a senior correspondent at the airport. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back shortly.
Good morning. Thank you for taking the time to. I'm live at Budapest International Airport. As you see behind me, we have Nigerian students that are being evacuated to Abuja this morning. About 400 of them will be leaving Budapest here in Hungary this morning, and they'll be arriving in Abuja, Nigeria. The Nigeria embassy in Hungary has been hosting them for some time now. And today they will be leaving Budapest, and they'll be coming to Abuja in the next couple of hours. They'll be joining you guys in Nigeria, Abuja. I have with me the Nigerian ambassador to Hungary, Excellency Dr. Mrs. Modupe Irene. Doctor, please join us. Yes, this is the ambassador. You're live on AIT. Congratulations on what you have done, the efforts you've put in place to ensure that these students are able to reconnect with their family. Tell us live on AIT how you've been able to make this happen.
Well, what has happened is that they've been collecting the students at the borders, and here in Hungary, we have been housing them, accommodating them, making sure that they have food and shelter, and also making sure that all those who want to return, and most of them, as you can see, are here on their way home to Nigeria and their families and loved ones.
Right. That is the ambassador, Dr. Mrs. Modupe Irele, talking to us about the efforts she has put in place to ensure that the students are able to reconnect with their family. Ma'am, let me ask you again about how many of these students are going to Nigeria today?
Well, we have 400 people that we're expecting. So definitely a minimum of 300, 350 will be boarding the plane, but right now they're still in the process of doing their checking in.
Some of the students that made the viral video about calling for evacuation to from Sumi are also joining this trip. Tell us, how did you feel when you saw that video and having those students in your territory in Budapest?
Well, the first feeling was one of relief that we were able to have them safely evacuated into Hungary and into Budapest, because they had gone through a lot of trauma, crossing, walking, taking buses, having to get onto the train. And in the end, I think about 200 or so or 300 were able to cross safely into Budapest and a few more into other countries. So it was definitely a feeling of relief and a feeling of success also for them. The children, students, they're very happy to now be at least in a place where they feel much safer than they were before. And yes, that's what this has been. It has been one where we were at first worried, and now we're happy that we have them here and that they're now on their way home to their families.
Thank you very much. My pleasure speaking with you. All right. All right. And that was the Nigerian ambassador to Hungary talking to us about efforts. While talking with the immigration department, I also had a chat with the immigration attaché to the embassy, Ayotunde Adigun, who told me that this was a specific case of forced migration of Nigerian students who have gone to, who went to Ukraine to study, but have been forced out of Ukraine to Nigeria now as a result of the war in Ukraine. This is the third batch that will be leaving Budapest to Nigeria from these charter flights. Back to you in the studio.
So much, Tunde Alabi, for providing us this report, and we will be keeping track with Tunde just to know how the process is going. But Tunde, just before we let you go, have you been able to speak to any of the students to find out how they're doing and their well-being so far?
Yes, I spoke with a couple of the students this morning. We got to the airport around 5 a.m. today. If I can still get some of the students to come.
Yes, please.
In fact, the leader, I'm sure you also saw the viral video from Sumi. I spoke with the leader, one of the leading actors in that viral video, and I spoke with a couple of other students. Look, it's a mixed feeling here in Budapest. Here, we are students who are in their final year in the university. We are students who have just 3 months to go, and according to the immigration attaché Ayotunde Adigun, forced migration, people are being forced to leave one country to another because of the war in Ukraine. So it's a mixed feeling. These students that have just about 3 months to go or one session to go, they don't know what the future holds for them. Some of them are not really too happy, even though they are kind of traumatized as a result of the war. But the fact the academic program will be put on hold 3 months to their graduation is a serious issue for them. Some of them 2 months. In fact, some are saying they are preparing for their final examination. So it's a mixed feeling for these students. But while I was speaking with the ambassador couple of hours ago, she said to me the federal government, through the different embassies abroad, will be working to ensure that some of these students are put in different institutions so that those ones that have a few months to go can quickly complete their academic programs. But as I say to you, it's a missed bag for them. They're happy to go back to Nigeria because of the traumatized experience they've got. But at the same time, they are also not too happy because the academic program will be put on hold, especially for those ones that are few months to their graduation. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you so much. That's Tunde Alabi reporting live from Hungary. As the day proceeds, we will continue to get reports from Tunde to find out how the evacuation process is going on. Back to the studio. We must commend the Nigerian government and the embassy in different parts of Europe for their efforts trying to get back the Nigerian students and Nigerians trapped in Ukraine and in those regions back to Nigeria. Just before that, we were discussing the crisis in the APC, and Jide, I'll come back to you. We do have a president who is now, like he has said, the father figure of the party. And we do have a national leader of the party who is running for president. Is there any confidence in the democratic process within the party, or is this now an autocratic situation where the president and the governors have a tussle for who controls the party because it now determines who gets the presidential ticket? Is this a failure of democracy within the party?
Yeah, it is largely a failure of democracy within the party, because when you decide not to do things by by due process, this is what you get. Like I said, the antecedent of all of this crisis, in fact, predates the coming of Adams Oshiomhole. How did they treat Odige Oyegu, who was the first elected chairman of the party? They said the man was too old, he's too slow, and they want a sharp man, they want an activist, so they went and pressured every other person to make Adams Oshiomhole emerge as a consensus candidate. They have been abusing this consensus thing over time, and that's what has turned around to haunt them. They brought Oshiomhole in, packaged him as the savior of the party. But when Oshiomhole said to be a man of his own, they fell off with him. You know, all attempts to even, and as at that time, it was even Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu that was even asked to reconcile all the warring factions. no way that the man has his own presidential ambition. So at the end of the day, you pushed out, more like sacrifice Adams Oshiomhole because of 2023. Now, the chicken has come on to roost. Adams Oshiomhole is out of the way, but the center has not been able to hold. Did you know, and could you believe, that APC as a ruling party has never been able to constitute its board of trustees? A ruling party. No board of trustees from 2013, when the party was established. Because the interest is all about grabbing power. What to do with power is, and that's why the concern was raised way back in 2015. Would there be APC after Buhari leaves? And it's becoming glaring now, because I'm just wondering, how did they resolve when they packaged Mai Mala Buni CPC? The appeal by the president was every litigant should go and withdraw their cases in court so that peace can reign. But nobody heeded that advisory. So now we have 208 court cases that may end up at the Supreme Court. And by which time the party primaries will have been held, the position, in the election position of Akeredolu of Ondo.
In fact, remains small.
In fact, it was a split decision by the Supreme Court.
Yes.
That made Akeredolu to still be the governor, because Eyitayo Jegede challenged the legality and authenticity of CECPC, saying that how could a fellow governor be the one to sign the nomination form of another governorship aspirant, a serving governor, not a former. And it was a split decision, and the saving grace was that they said, oh, you know what, he's not holding an executive position, is not getting paid for this other one. It's just like going on party assignment. But the influence that is peddling, and you need to listen very rapidly to what Malam Nasir El-Rufai said on Channels TV in the course of the week, because it shows that APC is divided along the middle. He said 19 governors were in support of ouster of Mai Mala Buni, only 3 are with him. And as at yesterday, the former DG of Progressive Governors Forum named the governors who are with Buni, you know, Dakpa Abiodun, which other one? Two or thrai others.
Imo State.
Opus Odima and one other. That they are the only ones that are left in the camp of Mai Mala Buni. So if what transpired on Monday was orchestrated, and you need to read This Day of Monday. This Day predicted in its edition of Monday that Mai Mala Buni has been sacked. When Akpa Nudo Eden was no, everything is okay, nothing is happening, we know there is no smoke without fire. So how they douse this smoke is what is left to be seen, because the battle has now shifted to London. They are now going, Mai Mala Buni is heading to London, Malami is heading to London, and this also has to do with the Electoral Act 2022 amendment, which for the first time the Senate stood up to be counted and resisted.
Jide, you know what? We will have, and I'm hoping we'll get you, both of you, back next week. We'll have a conversation, especially about the Electoral Act amendment and the constitutionality of some of this, because even the Constitution states that no one serving as an executive should hold another executive position. And so if it gets to the Supreme Court, some of this is already entrenched in a level of illegality. But because of time, I'll give you the final word. What do you think the party should do in 1 minute?
Well, the party, there's something they can do. But one thing is a little bit difficult and it look like a too late. But if they can come together and harmonize their position, because as it is now, it's already divided, and everybody, you know, these governors have amassed so much power to themselves that they want to, like, I can do and undo. And everybody has an interest. And the interest, as he said, is all about 2023. So what they can do is, the way they came together in 2013, 2014, with one purpose. And then Buhari, who is the president and the leader of the party, has to intervene and also be clear and communicate well about his position. I think all of them will align, because everybody will tell you, I'm in the party because of Buhari. Anything that Buhari tells us, that is where we follow. So then he has to come out clear. Are you with Buni or not, or with Bello? What next? Buhari has to
So the buck stops at the president's table, being the only person at this point. And I think that's a great place to leave it. But we must bring both of you back to discuss the legality of some of this. So viewers at home, that's the much we can take on today's episode. We do have more on social media, so you can follow us on The Weekend Show NG on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We also have this episode, which will be live on YouTube. And you can also follow me at Andy Madaki on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Send us your questions, your contribution, and we will respond to you. And also, you could even suggest topics which you would like to hear us talk about on this show.